Hello, everybody. It is Thursday, March 7, and this is the bi-weekly UX and design meeting for Backdrop CMS. What usually happens in these meetings is we go around and we do short introductions, and then we jump into the actual meeting itself. I'll start with myself. I'm Greg, joining from Melbourne, Australia. Uh, my day job is a Drupal support engineer, but my passion is Backdrop, and I'm interested in anything related to it and try to help as much as I can, especially interested in UX and accessibility. And let's go to Robert.
I'm Robert Lang, bug folder on the internet in Altadena, California. And I've lately been working on contrib issues and infrastructure issues. And let's go to Rob.
Yeah, hi, I'm Rob de Koter. I'm living in Germany. I'm a photographer and I'm working with Drupal 7 for over 10 years. And I'm here now to figure out how to migrate my websites to Backdrop.
Okay. I think I'm last. My name is Tim Erickson. I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota. And yeah, just been very busy with a whole bunch of stuff. Getting ready for MidCamp in 2 weeks. So 2 weeks from now, I will be at MidCamp in Chicago talking about background. So real quickly, we have a small group today. It is, as Greg mentioned, the Design UX meeting. I think Rob has some questions we're going to talk about. Greg, did you want to talk about the thing you were talking about now, or should we deal with Rob first and then come to you?
It can wait. It can wait.
Okay.
Let's do the other things.
Let's at the top of the meeting, let's do this one announcement too, which is that we do have a Backdrop Live coming up. In case anybody's watching the recording, I'm going to get the dates right now. It's early April 4th and 5th is our next Backdrop Live. And my understanding is that there's still a few bugs or factual errors on our website. Please, if you see anything incorrect, report them to us so we can get them fixed. But we're working on getting that all fixed, and we'd love to see people start registering. So I think you said we could wait. So Rob, why don't you tell us what you're doing, and if you have a question, and see if we can help you.
Now, first I had a general question.
Yep.
Drupal did certification, or still does certification, I don't know. I don't know if that's of any interest for Backdrop in order to gain more confidence at potential customers that have to migrate their websites.
You say certification?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you could be a certificate, get a certification as web designer or as Drupal web designer, basically.
Greg,
I have a couple of comments.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a couple of comments. So my understanding is that the Drupal Association is behind the certifications for Drupal.
Yeah.
It has multiple benefits. It provides some revenue for the community, and it also certifies developers, so it's easier to get a job, and it provides training as well, right? We don't have an association, like we don't have the manpower to organize such a thing. Maybe we could outsource it. And the second comment that I had to say is that more or less, if you get certified as a Drupal, especially if you have a Drupal 7 certification, more or less it would apply to Backdrop. But you are right that there's differences that I don't know. It's an opportunity for someone to consider it and organize something. But we haven't discussed this. That the majority of the efforts when it comes to trainings is to get videos and tutorials and blog posts out there. But the plain truth is that we are a smaller community. We don't have an association behind it. We don't have someone to organize this. If someone can volunteer to do that, maybe we can start discussions.
So
But
I don't think this matters much, but I'm just going to point out, I don't think the Drupal Association is involved in certification. The only certification I know of is Acquia.
Acquia, right.
Acquia
And I
has a
should know that.
certification program. Yeah.
I should know that.
The certification has come up in the Drupal community many times over the years, and I think officially the community has kind of stayed out of it and chosen not to sort of have a community standard just because of, then we'd have to decide what is it, who does it, all of that. And so Acquia just took it on themselves, which I think is fine. And they created a certification program, which anybody in the Drupal community can use. So, and that's sort of, I think, the way that's been working. But
Yeah, my actual question is,
Yeah.
would there be a commercial benefit for people here
Right.
at Backdrop? I mean, the certification, yeah, I believe it. Everybody gives this his best shot, and I'm sure they all will learn. So
yeah,
that was, I was just wondering about that. Okay, then I'll get to the.
it has come up from time to time. We've talked about it. I don't think we
Okay.
have the resources right now to like manage a certification program. But if anybody wanted to lead that effort, go ahead.
Yeah.
So Robert had said he might have to
Have to
go.
Yeah, he's gone. Okay, my other question is, I tried to set up the website in 2 languages,
Mhm.
and I enabled most of the modules. The one I did not enable was the taxonomy. I expected actually that I would be able to get 2 fields in one node. One in German, could be filled out in German, one in English, but that's not the case. And I haven't figured out how I actually have to implement the 2 languages.
That's a generic. It didn't work that way, so you don't get the same 2 fields on the same node. One having that's not actually translation. How translation works usually is you have a node, and then you create a translation of that, which would hold the translated field. So it would be 2 different pieces of content. One of them would be the German one. One would be the English one. But if you have a use case, because I can imagine a use case where you want both of these shown there, then you wouldn't need translation. I'm thinking. Can you elaborate more on the use case, like what you're trying to achieve? Like, are you trying to display the same data or content in both languages at the same time?
No, I just want to fill them out both at the same time.
Ah,
So I just want to write the German, the English, and maybe the Dutch. I don't know if probably
yeah,
no need for that, but
I think that there were some modules, maybe even the inbuilt translation modules that allow you to have the fields side by side, so you can see the English and then translate it. But it might be additional contributed modules that did that. I haven't touched translations in a while, so I'm not sure what's going on in that space. But I can. What you can do is I can do some research over the weekend and reply. If you can start either a thread in the Zulip chat or in the forum
okay,
about
I
it.
will try.
So
Yeah,
let me jump in and say, so we do have the ability to do 2 languages, right? I didn't build it, but I'm managing a Backdrop site that has a Spanish version. I forget. So basically, the way it works is you have two nodes of of each, 2 versions of each node, one in each language, and you can, and then you can switch between the languages. I'm pretty sure we did a user group meeting on that, like this maybe in the last year. So I would suggest one of 2 things. One of which I'm going to try to find the link to the user group meeting where we
That'd be
talk
nice.
about that. There are a number of people in our community. Indigo Zella, I think, has worked the most with internet, bilingual sites. I know several other clients have them, or several other active members have them and work with them, but I consider her one of the more knowledgeable people on it. I think Olaf has definitely done a lot to do with translations of sites. So those are people you could look up.
Olaf, okay, that's easy.
Yeah, he's from Germany,
Exactly.
and he has he's done a lot of work with the internet. So
I'm not sure
looking
if
go ahead. You go ahead.
Tim, I'm not sure if you had any other UX and design issues already, but because we have a lot of time and not many things in the agenda, at least to discuss, I can share my screen and we can do it. I don't think it's going to take us more than 5 minutes or 10 minutes to set up and show it now, if you don't mind.
You want to do a quick demo on the language stuff?
Yeah, I think that I can, like in 5 or 10 minutes, we should be able
Sure.
to do it. All right. So
Question, do you record this for YouTube?
Yes, we are recording.
This meeting is being recorded, yeah. And
For
I'm trying to
YouTube.
find a link to a previous meeting that was recorded. that
Okay.
you can-
all right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So this is the demo site. So I haven't done this in a long time, but I believe I know the steps. So first of all, we need content translation, which will enable all the rest of the required modules, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it in one step. All right, so then let's use one of the existing content types. Let's go to the page and then configure it. And then you have multilingual support, and I'm going to say enable with translation, and there's this option here as well, right? So I'll do this. So my understanding now is that when I come here, when I create a page, I should now have a language option here, right? So but let's go add languages first of all. So that's the other step, then the next step. So structure, and then original language, and languages, I'll add another language. Let's add what? Let's do Greek. So let's do Greek. All right. So then you can select which language here is the default. You can drag and rearrange them. And my understanding is that if you place a language at the top, actually, let's see it live. So I'll try to add a page. So by default, it should have. Oh, it has none of the language. Right. Cool. So this doesn't affect the order because I didn't save it yet. So even if I keep it here and save, I don't think that the order of the languages matters. Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, it does actually. All right, cool. So let's create a English, right? So this would be the field that you have. You might add another field which is a simple text field, but let's use that one. And I'll make sure that this is in English. Yep, let's save it. So how this works is then you get this translate link here, right? So this is the English text, and then you do translate, and then it shows you which languages that you have been translated and which not, right? So if I add another language here, let's add Arabic, something that's at the top of the list. Something. Yeah, let's do this. Right. So if I refresh the page here, this test node that I created, the other language will appear here as well, and it's not translated. So what you do is you go and click add translation for the language that you want to add a translation for. And then this is Greek. Right. And then you see, because I selected to translate in Greek, I cannot switch here. It means that I'm editing the Greek version. Right. If I save it, yep, this is the Greek version. And now you have this translated and published, and this not translated yet. And if I go to my content, you have the Greek and the English. So they're separate pieces of content. Is that what you were wondering how to do?
Exactly.
Okay, cool. That's it
And
then.
I hope it's going to be on YouTube so I can slowly look at it
Yeah,
again.
watch it again.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay,
No
I just
worries.
posted. I just
Yeah,
posted
sorry, go
two links to two videos in Zulip. You're in Zulip, aren't you, Rob? Or
Yes. That's
Or
where you
chat room?
chat. Yeah.
I'll put them. I'll
Yes.
put them both here in Zoom as well. But these are.
No, you can put them in Zulip. I'll find them.
Okay, they're both there in Zulip. And one
Is
of them
it-
is more recently on a user group meeting we did on localization. Localization focuses on the user interface. translation. When we talk about multilingual, I think we're talking usually about content translation. And there's also a session on multilingual that's a little bit older. I have a feeling we did both though in the more recent one. I would look at the more recent one first. And if it doesn't
Okay.
seem to be addressing your needs, then go back to the older one.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I did wrong first. Now I have two interfaces, one in German and one in English, but I didn't need that.
Yeah, and this is what we demonstrated here. First of all, it should be the same or very, very similar with very few differences in doing it in Drupal 7 or beyond.
Yeah,
If you happen to test it on newer versions of Drupal and you see that it's the user experience is more streamlined, just mention it. Maybe we should have a look and see if there's any improvements that we can do. And the other thing is that I assumed, because I recall you saying that you have sites where maybe you and your partner work, so it's a simpler site. So this was a simple site. You can go as crazy as you want. So we didn't touch on, putting a block where it allows you to switch the language to test switching the site to English, but you can test that then. And also you might have a site where you have multiple translators, and I think that there's separate permissions where you can say this person can translate into English, this can translate. So you can outsource if you have a larger
Yeah.
site and you hire people to translate things for you, you can limit them to which content they can translate. So you can have different translators per language and so on.
yeah, I
That's
think
my
you don't get
understanding.
that far. And what I did for the language switcher is I have two domains, a German and then a US. So that seems obvious, and it's probably for Google for SEO the best, I guess. I'm not sure, but it hardly costs anything, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, great. Well, hopefully we've been helpful for you today.
Yeah, very much. Thank you.
Okay. Should we, so a last thing on that ties into Backdrop Live, which is if you're still working on this a month from now, it's actually just under a month, about 4 weeks from now, we will be during Backdrop Live. It would be great if we had a topic on multilingual and localization. And that would be a chance for you to ask any, if you still have any lingering questions then, or if you've learned a whole bunch and you want to come and answer other people's questions, you could do that.
Yeah, well, that would be mainly about probably designing and photo editing as
Okay,
a knowledge. And my only other practical knowledge is translating.
we could talk about that at Backdrop Live as well. Photo editing, I would go to that session. But it's, you've been to Backdrop Live before, so I think you know that it's very discussion orientated. So it would be valuable for other people just to hear what your experience was, even if you don't feel like an expert. If you just said, this is what I tried to do, this is what worked for me, this is what didn't work for me, these are the questions I still have. That's something you could do at Backdrop Live. But
yeah, and the other people that have multilingual sites, because I know at least as Kim mentioned earlier, another couple of people in the community which build multilingual sites. Maybe they have experience with certain contributed modules, because I showed the functionality that I showed is just 4. Maybe they have some contributed modules that make life easier when you're translating or switching languages, or yeah.
I will also have a look at it. So
okay. I think it's maybe not I don't know if it's a core issue or not, but if we move into design UX, I feel like one of the issues that's related to this is a language switcher sort of in core that let's look that up quick and just see.
there is one.
Real quick before we go, I think I found the modules that I was referring to. There's one older module. I'll share my screen real quick. I don't see it having a version for. Let me share my screen again. I don't see it having a version for Drupal 7 that we can port, but these are the modules that I was referring to. There's 2 of them: translate side by side and entity translate side by side. So I'll open the screenshots that it has here. So
Yeah.
basically, this is what I was referring to. So
That's
maybe,
what I was dreaming of, indeed.
yeah. So maybe we can port or create something similar if it doesn't exist already. That would be convenient. I think I saw a video tutorial or some demo of this. That's why I had it in my mind, but I can't find anything for Drupal 7 at the moment. Anyway,
Okay.
all right.
Yeah, I've not seen that before, so that looks really handy. This is a related issue in the core issue queue that Greg, that looks like you were involved in. I'm not sure if this is the issue I was thinking of, but it's a language switcher block and adding some customizations to it.
Yeah.
I feel like there might be some more issues around a language switcher block. Looking quickly to see if there are.
Yeah, I see the screenshots. Maybe we mentioned like this is tied to providing icons and allowing people to specify if the list is going to be vertical or horizontal, or if it's going to be rendered as a select box. But yeah,
I feel like let's just try MU multi. Okay.
yeah,
There's some other issues. Feel free to, Rob, to look through the core issue queue if you're having any problems with multilingual, and comment on any issues or open feature requests if there are things that you think would be helpful. So
Yeah,
So-
I think in my
Yeah.
case, for instance, the language switcher is just two little flags, because basically I have two domains. So the
Right.
whole language switcher block for the rest is in my case not so interesting.
right.
it's you have
Can
two
you-
different domains for the languages.
Yeah,
So
I thought
how are you doing that with one website?
I have no idea, but you give it as an option.
No, you can do it. You can do it. I can share my screen, but before I do that, I can show that. But before we do that, I see the RTBC issue. It's interesting at the top, the one that Olaf started, the one that to add the translate links. Can we?
Yeah.
It's RTBC, so it's probably we're gonna see it in the next release most likely.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, I don't think this is the issue I was thinking of, but it might be.
Yeah, there you go. So there's a screenshot of it there. So it adds a translate link. So when I presented the short demo before, I was editing a specific node, so I had all the links to edit, view, and translate. But if you are having a view of a list of nodes, then you don't have that readily available, and you can use contextual links there. And we have edit, delete, but we didn't have translate. So this is what this pull request will do. So it will make it easier to translate lists of content without having to jump around from it's
So
not
normally I would encourage Rob to go comment on this issue, but it's already marked RTBC, which
RTBC,
means it
yeah.
really probably doesn't need any more discussion. It, as Greg showed up, unless we find a problem with it, it should
Yeah.
get into the next release. So I want to talk about different domains. So you just said that's easy, Greg. I don't know how he's talking completely different domains, right?
Oh, you mean maybe Rob, you mean subdomains. You have a
No.
subdomain of the same domain or completely
It
different
means
domains?
completely different domains.
Completely different domains, and that is so.
Right.
I got decoder.net and decoder.de.
Okay.
And
If you can
if-
stop sharing, Tim, I can share my screen and we can see at the options that are available in the language switching. So I
Sure.
think that it's a native option. So we'll go back to the site that I was demoing before.
Sure.
Again, I might be jumping around because it's been a while since I last messed with translation. So if you go to languages, there's this thing which is called detection and selection. And
Yeah.
it gives you a lot of options here. One of them is, I think,
from the
URL.
URL. and that's where I want to do it.
Yes, and then you can do either path prefix, which is the thing that I was saying, or domain.
Yeah.
So then all you have to do is just make sure that your DNS points to the same server, and then I think
Oh.
it will handle everything. So yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or have them at the same company, at the same spot. Should
Right.
work. That's how I understand it.
That's interesting. I did not know that you could do that.
I thought,
I'm interested in this issue because I'm working on the domain access module right now, which would allow you. So apparently this feature just allows you to do that with language. But the other example of this is like we do a Drupal website that has publications, Minnesota Bride and Wisconsin Bride, and we have it as one site, one database. But we use the domain access module, which lets you assign content to different domains. And I didn't know you could do something like that with language. Anyways, the domain access module is not available for Backdrop right now, but my team is working on it as I speak, and trying to get that ported to Backdrop. So that's another, but it looks like this option in Core is better. So good luck with that. That would be It would be great if you showcase that. I've had several discussions with people about multilingual sites, and I don't remember ever seeing that feature before.
I specifically looked for it, but initially it wasn't in Drupal 7.
Okay.
And I figured if I have two domains, I have an advantage in search engine optimization. Language.
I admit that I haven't touched this in like many years, but it so happened that at work there was a very odd issue last week, and that's how I got reminded of that thing, where they were the owners of the site were developing in one domain before they go live, and then they changed the domain. And what that whole thing caused is that they were going to the actual domain that they wanted to use, and the moment that they logged in, the site would switch to the previous domain. And one of the articles in d.org was suggesting, there were many suggestions what to look for. They were saying, can you please go and check your language detection and selection, because this setting might have the previous domain there and you haven't updated it, and that's what happens. It was a bit puzzling, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm just really scratching my head because this seems to, so this is a very unique use case for multi-domains, but I would feel like you could use it. Like I have another case of a nonprofit right now, right? That they want to open a branch in another state. And a lot of the content on the site is going to be the same. Some nodes are going to be different. They want two different domains. And I almost feel like you could treat the other site as a different translation, even though it's in English. And you could accomplish, what I'm spending all this time migrating domain access module for. Maybe I don't need it. Maybe I could do this with that feature, or maybe maybe we could figure out a way to take this same code and make it useful in other contexts other than language.
Yeah, most people would say that this is abusing the feature. It was not meant to be used that way, but I will show you another trick, which is interesting, and it matches your use case. So if you go to languages, and not many people know that, you can add a custom language.
Sure.
So in your case, you can call it, I don't know,
Nevada.
second site.
Yeah, my other language is going to be Nevada.
Yes, exactly.
Nevada English.
Yeah, and it allows you to swap things, and it provides translation, what you call it, of the label of the language, and if it's right or left, right to left or left to right, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, because it's hidden as the last option, and I think we have an issue to expose this a little bit. It's not very frequently used, but as I said, again, I even forgot about this until you mentioned the use case. So it's not commonly used, but yeah, it's there for these kind of cases.
The thing that I don't know if it would do would be, could you assign one node to both languages? So some cases I want the content to be different, but in some pages it's going to be the same. And I with
You just
domain
leave the language
access,
as none.
just leave the
You leave
language,
the
and then it'll
language as
show up for
none.
both.
Yeah, I guess, or there might be a setting to do that.
Okay, this sounds like
Yeah, I
something I
think-
should play with later. It seems
And
like it would be worth a video.
If you
Go
make a
ahead.
custom language, you get the same translation block. So all you have to do is copy your text and change what you want to change.
Yeah, but then
Right.
you would have to maintain two, like each time you edit one,
Yeah.
you need to edit the other. And if you
I
have
only-
multiple
I-
languages, it
right.
becomes messy.
I only want to do that on the nodes that I'm changing, right? The nodes that I don't want to change, I only want one that I edit. And so I'm sure that the domain access module still has value in that there's a whole bunch of sub-modules for it. It's very powerful and probably does things that this couldn't do. But the fact that this is even possible is kind of blowing my mind right now. It's like, I had no idea we had that capability or something, and maybe it's not as much as I think. I don't know. I need to play with it. Okay. Let's
We finished with the language things. Yes, I have an issue that I discovered
sure.
randomly because I was looking at other things that I didn't know could be a usability issue. So I'll share my screen again. It's convenient that we spun up a demo site here. So this was related to security or hardening, I should say. It's not a security problem, but certain things are not allowed just because there's a possibility of people taking advantage of it. I'll demo the problem, right? So if I go to manage files, so these are the files that are added at in the front page, the images that we have here, right? So they come by default here. So I'll try to swap to change one of the images here, right? So what I discovered accidentally, because I've never played that much with it, and I'll go to pictures. It's if you try, this is a PNG. If I try to add a JPEG or other format, it doesn't let me. And I understand the security implication behind it because that would allow, like, these images are used in fields, right? So if I go to structure, content types, and I go to CAD, and I go to the image settings, we say that only these extensions are allowed right here. If we allowed in this screen any arbitrary extension to be allowed, then someone could upload a file that is not meant to be uploaded, replace this image with, I don't know, an executable file or something. So, so there's a security concern. This is a simplistic, I think, approach, and there were issues that I found raised about it in v.org. So the thing is that we have a way now to track where a file is being used. So if I go here, I think that we can track it down because see, we have the usage count. I think that we can track it down to on which fields a file has been added. So if we can pull the list of extensions that have been configured, maybe there will be a way to allow these extensions, not any extension, but this extension. And this is a very common use case because then why I see it as a usability issue is that then you have the people go and convert the images that they have to the proper format and then upload them, which is, getting them to jump through hoops. If this is an image, maybe we should allow every image extension that has been allowed in the fields where this image is being used, right? I started drafting an issue about it, but I'm still mid-research, so maybe there's things that I didn't consider, and maybe that's here for a very good reason, and that cannot happen. But yeah, that's what I would like to explore. And the reason why I'm showing this is that did you guys ever come across this or no? It's interesting, yeah.
I was multitasking. Can you share your screen again?
Yes, no worries.
So quick and quickly describe the use case again.
So yes, as a content editor, I want to update an image on
Yeah.
the site, right? This is very simplistic. So I go to manage files.
Yeah.
I find the image that I want to replace. I go,
see.
okay, managed, and I want to replace it. It won't
Right.
let me add anything other than PNG images.
No, I've
Whereas
never
I
run
might,
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I understand the security implications behind it, but I'm thinking that maybe now we have the tools that because we have managed files almost everywhere. So because we know where this is being used, maybe we can track the type of node,
Right.
drill down to the fields, and then from the field images, the field settings, grab the extensions. And then, like, if you
Yes.
have an image field that allows this specific image, this specific image is used in a field that allows these extensions and another
Yeah.
field that allows these extensions, then I understand that this and this cannot be used, but those that are overlapping should be allowed.
That makes perfect sense. I don't recall ever like running into this scenario, but it seems like it could come up. And what you're describing seems to make sense. I suppose where it could get complicated is that managed files could be used in multiple different fields, right? And so if the file is only being used in one field, it's easy to track which is allowed there. But let's say a file is being used in 3 different types of fields across different content types, and the settings have been different in different ones.
Yes,
Then-
in that case, you can pull, as I said, all
Yeah.
the list of extensions of all these fields, and if you see multiple
Right.
extensions being used, then you should allow multiple, not all of them,
Right.
because then you would circumvent the
Yeah.
settings. But
Yeah.
if there is,
I agree that it's still possible and could still be useful, but it does get more complicated. Yeah, if it's more than one field. Yeah. Okay.
and as I said, I didn't come across this because I didn't play with this specific thing, or maybe every time that I used it, I just happened to have PNG
Right.
images laying around and I randomly chose those. But when it first happened to me, I also found another issue, I think in file entity in the Drupal 7 module, where it wouldn't, that was a bug basically. It wouldn't let you replace because it was the code that was checking the extension was case sensitive. It wouldn't let you add PNG images that have the extension uppercase instead of lowercase. But that was an easy to fix bug.
I think the reason this doesn't come up more often, right, is that, I mean, first of all, I totally agree this is a legitimate and useful use case. But I think the more common situation is that if somebody is replacing an image, is that they don't actually go to the Manage Files tab. They go to the node, right, and they delete the previous image and they replace it with a new one, in which case they wouldn't have this problem.
Unless what they've done is for example, I'm thinking the use cases of sites where they have PDF files and these might be legislation or whatever that are being referenced from multiple pieces of content.
Right.
And they want to update it in one
Yes.
place and have the most recent version everywhere.
That's
Right.
That's why I say I definitely see that use case and where this is very powerful. I'm just saying it doesn't come up so often because, except in that situation, most people probably don't use the file management. And I say that because I personally oftentimes forget that I can do this in the file management, right? And I go instead to the node and I change it. Now, if I had your use case, then I would obviously be worried about that, and I would remember, oh, I can do this in the managed files. I've been trying to sell exactly that use case to a client recently, so I've been thinking about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you would have to be careful with image styles and breakpoints.
Yeah, fair enough.
I was playing with it just, so that's just what I was thinking. What I wondered is, you demonstrated it, and apparently you can try to upload a JPEG on a place where you're not allowed to. So why can you even try to upload a JPEG? Why are those not, like on most websites, simply the JPEGs invisible? And only
Right. You only see You only see the files that you can upload.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, I have
Has that come
trouble
up before, Greg?
From time to time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember talking about that in background before, but. Okay. Any other issues you want to talk about? I've got nothing.
Well, there's plenty of them, but we only have like about 5 minutes. So maybe we can all take a break before we start the dev meeting in 5, 6
Sure.
minutes.
That seems legit. And then we can just build this meeting as being about translation. Because 90, 70, 80% of the meeting was about translation stuff.
Right.
Okay, great. Okay, let's end the meeting. I'm going to